from our Tasmanian headquarters, this is Southern Cross News with Rachel Williams.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. The Prime Minister has failed to address a critical issue facing the lives of all Tasmanians while making a speech in Hobart today, the new carve-up of GST profits. Scott Morrison told Tasmanian Liberal Party members to start preparing for the next federal election, calling on them to help the party gain momentum.
Members voting on the future of the Tasmanian Liberal Party. The new Prime Minister giving a lengthy speech to the party faithful at the annual State Council in Hobart, saying the party was gaining momentum, ready to win back Tasmanian seats it lost in 2016.
Let's focus on the things that make that boat go faster, because our nation needs the Liberal boat to go faster. And I can tell you what though, it's picking up speed. It's picking up speed.
Looking to the federal election, the Liberal Party in Tasmania is ready to win back lower house seats. In addition to Braddon, Bass and Lyons are very winnable for us.
But his speech failed to provide any certainty over Tasmania's critical GST funding, not even garnering a mention in the speech. Instead, he spooked everything else, from the state's population growth to a commitment to renewable energy. Outside, the Prime Minister and his Treasurer refused to offer any more detail.
There's a better off guarantee in the legislation we're putting to the Parliament, and there's a better off guarantee always from our government.
Under our plan, Tasmanians will be better off. Like all states and territories, will be better off, and we'll have a fairer and more sustainable system.
The Premier said he will stand up for Tasmania, but admitting state and federal governments did have their differences.
There are, on occasions, matters where we will not agree on everything. The Prime Minister knows that I and my team will always strongly stand up for Tasmania's interests.
Also on the agenda, members voting to withdraw from the Paris Climate Change Agreement and to keep the current date of Australia Day. But the council voted against a motion to consider getting rid of local councils altogether, instead replacing them with a board.
The policy to not force council amalgamations, while seemingly an encouraging strategy, has not had the desired result.
The conference continues tomorrow. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
Meanwhile, the National Party has held its first ever state conference here to support the re-election of lone Tasmanian Senator Steve Martin. The party also revealed it will field candidates in lower house seats against the Liberal Party. Deputy Prime Minister Michael McCormack insists the challenge against the coalition will give voters more options.
They've got the choice. They've got the absolute choice. They haven't had in the past. They have now. Steve Martin has shown that what a National Party senator can do for Tasmania. He's already delivered.
Other high-profile party members also joined the meeting, which saw the first ever Tasmanian branch established. Tasmania's mass meningococcal vaccine clinic program has today reached Launceston. More than 700 people booked into the Albert Hall clinic for the jab. Health experts say the disease, while rare, can be fatal.
Meningococcal disease is rare, but it's a very severe disease. So 10% of people who get meningococcal disease can unfortunately die, and another 10 to 20% have severe complications moving forward.
The free ACWY vaccine is available for young people aged from 6 weeks to 21 years old. The next clinic will be held at the Burnie Arts and Function Centre on October 20. Well, dozens of brave souls have taken an icy bath, all in the name of a good cause. Around 50 Tasmanians live with motor neuron disease, but there's hope a cure may one day be within reach as more join the fight to find a cure.
A courageous climb before a freezing plunge. Fighting motor neuron disease is wet work, but there was no shortage of tough Tasmanians risking a shiver.
It was pretty daunting on the way down, and it was freezing once you hit the water.
Many, like cousins Scarlett and Sebastian, didn't hesitate.
I'm doing it for my mum, who is suffering, so I want to get her better so we can be more happy.
It wasn't just as simple as taking a slippery dive.
We've got 36 confirmed sliders going down the slide today. They all had to raise a minimum of $500 to be eligible to go down the slide, and majority of them have actually exceeded that $500.
Over the past 2 years, the Big Freeze has raised $215,000. Organisers hope today will add another $35,000 to the funding pool.
I think the community coming together and supporting it year after year is, it's heartwarming, I think.
A cause some were so committed to. One dip just wasn't enough. Sean McComish, Southern Cross News.
Around 2,500 footy fans turned out at North Hobart Oval overnight to watch some past AFL greats recapturing their old form in the annual Relive the Rivalry charity football match. Brendan Favola starred down forward for the Victorian All-Stars, booting 11 goals, but it wasn't enough against Team Tasmania, who took the match by 19 points. Organisers are still totaling the funds raised, but are hoping to get close to last year's $25,000, with all money going towards Muscular Dystrophy Tasmania. Hundreds of boats have set sail on the River Derwent today to mark the opening of the yachting season. Sailors making the most of the picture-perfect conditions on the iconic river as they journeyed into Sullivan's Cove to bring in the 136th season. A range of events to take place around the state over the coming months, from ocean to club racing and several national championships.
The early wickets of Matthew Wade and Ben McDermott have seen the Tasmanian Tigers off to a shaky start with a bat, with their side sitting at 4 for 55 against Queensland in their JLT One Day Cup semi-final clash a short time ago. Earlier, the Tigers' attack put on a masterclass, tearing through the Bulls' batting order. Gabe Bell got things rolling nice and early for the Tigers.
Oh, chops it on. Great length, half on the front foot, brings about the dismissal.
And the paceman only had to wait another few overs before claiming his second.
Fielders, it's edged and Wade takes it.
Always dangerous with the bat, Chris Lynn loaded up.
Oh, that sounds great. There's no fielder out there, and it wouldn't have mattered if there was.
Needing to stem the damage on the scoreboard, Jackson Bird proved the man for the job.
Done it really well. There's another edge. Exactly what Tasmania want. They are on fire, and it's the big wicket of Lynn for 15.
Joe Burns and Charlie Hemfrey steadied the ship temporarily, but the introduction of Gurinder Sandhu into the attack was enough to send it wayward.
Played on. Would you believe it? He thought he had it all covered, did Hemfrey. He cannot believe it.
Spin doctor Clive Rose sending Burns to the shed shortly after on 23, before Tom Rogers produced one of the balls of the day.
Oh, that's kept low. He didn't hit it. There were two noises. I think it's pad and pad.
The battered Bulls finding themselves in serious strife when the quick struck again.
Oh, no luck at all. Big off-cutter, full, traps him on the crease and nails middle stump.
Bird wouldn't be outdone, sending a pearler straight through Mark Steckety to claim his second, with Sandhu and Rose cleaning up the last of the Queensland order, left chasing just 178 runs for victory and a spot in the One Day Cup final. Back home, the new Greater Northern Raiders side have put in a respectable effort in their first ever match in the Cricket Tasmania Premier League. Batting first against Kingborough, the Raiders recovered from a shaky start to steady and put on a 208-run total, with Jake Williams the best of the order with 57 off 88 balls. But the Knights were up for the challenge, belting their way to victory with 4 overs to spare. Tasmanian Cooper Ford has done the state proud, emerging victorious in the 65cc under-9 class at the National Junior Motocross Championships in Penguin, with organisers hailing the week-long event a big success.
We as a club want to put motocross back on the map in Tasmania, and I think this will go a long, long way to doing that.
Fellow Tasmanians Angus Pearce and Holly Jeeves also holding their own against Australia's fastest riders, finishing 4th and 7th in their respective classes. And some of the country's best endurance athletes have pushed their bodies to the limits, with more than 100 competitors treated to idyllic East Coast conditions for the annual Freycinet Challenge, one of Australia's largest multi-sport events. Day one consisted of a 16-kilometre trail run, 10-kilometre kayak, 40-kilometre cycle and 20-kilometre mountain bike leg. Competition wraps up tomorrow.
Welcome back. It was partly cloudy over most of the state today. Hobart reached a top of 17, Launceston 19, which was the state's high, Burnie and Devonport both 16 degrees. Also at 19, Flinders Island, Friendly Beaches, Grove and Ouse. King Island, Smithton and St Helens all reached a top of 17. It was 16 at Low Head, 18 at Strawn and 15 at Maria Island. The satellite shows low-level cloud over parts of Tasmania, mostly clear about the state's centre. Zooming out, there's a weak trough over western South Australia and the Bight as convective cloud gradually moves towards the south. We can also see some low cloud over southwest WA. Looking to tomorrow's chart, there's a high pressure ridge over Tasmania as surface troughs dominate the mainland. On the coast, variable winds 5 to 15 knots, tending easterly to 20 about the north, swells to 3.5 metres in the west and south. A possible early drizzle for Hobart tomorrow, a top of 20, 21 for Richmond, partly cloudy, Ouse sitting pretty at 22. Launceston partly cloudy, 19 the top, Devonport partly cloudy, 17, Deloraine 16. Burnie a top of 16, partly cloudy, a possible light shower for Curry 17, Strawn 20. Partly cloudy also for St Helens and Whitemark, both 17 tomorrow, and mostly sunny in Swansea 20 degrees. Let's look ahead to Monday. A chance of showers in the west during the morning, extending to much of the state later in the day. Tuesday, we can expect showers contracting to the east and south coasts in the evening. And Wednesday, a chance of showers about the east coast with south to southeasterly winds. Now let's take a look around the country tomorrow. Perth, partly cloudy and 24. A morning shower or two for Adelaide, 14. 24 degrees for Melbourne, partly cloudy. A spot of showers for Sydney, 19. And 24 for Brisbane. And finally, here's a look at the current conditions around the state. It's a fine evening and it will be even better tomorrow with that extra hour of daylight. Back to you, Rach.
Thanks for that, Brute. And speaking of that, it is time to start packing away your woolen coats and stock up on some sunscreen because daylight saving kicks off tonight. Clocks will move forward by 1 hour at 2 a.m, meaning you lose an hour of sleep. Most phones and other electronic devices will update automatically, but you will have to update other clocks the old-fashioned way. Can't wait. Well, that's all your news for now. Thanks for joining us. Good night.